Hey guys, I would like to discuss a setup that we sometimes take advantage of and a pressure that's very high on our favorable list. It's, in fact, probably one of the most favorite pressures. It's very common and it's very intuitive. It tells us what's about to happen if we see the picture right. So what I mean by that is the power of separation. Power of separation is nothing more than the MACDs being separated from the Bollinger Band. I could give an example here. This is the white band. It's the Bollinger Band. And we've got two of them, one over here and one down here. And the little balls with the blue line in between, that's the MACD. Hence MACD, Bollinger Band, BB. I think there was a change in terminology over the course of the years since the script writer wrote the script. He intended BB to be referencing the Bollinger Band, but over time people started calling little balls the BB, so I'm not going to go against the grain. We're going to call the balls the BBs. So anyway, the white band, if we could use the analogy of a bow and arrow, and if the white band was the fiberglass on the bow and arrow, and the balls with the string was the string on the bow and arrow, the further we pull that string back, the more power we would have when we released the pressure or the power in the opposite direction. So what that means is this. Reading this BB, this is what it means. Right here, if you see, the BBs are very tight to the rail. Okay, very tight to the rail. This is a very powerful picture in that direction. It's not until we see the separation that we see signs of weakness and a reversal. It's very similar to Elliott wave. Elliott wave dominates the theory that there's two impulses on every move. In a five-wave structure, there's two impulse moves, wave 3 and wave 5. So wave 3 is the largest of the impulse, and that's where the majority of the movement comes from. Then there is a little hesitation, a little profit-taking, and then they start ramping up for the final push, which is wave 5, and that's the one that's the weaker of the two. And in the MACDBB picture, the weaker of the two runs is distinguished by the separation that it has from the white band. So anytime we see separation, we convert that to weakness. So right here, if you notice, BBs are separated, signs of weakness, reversal. Here we have signs of weakness. It's attempting to reverse here, but if you look at the big separation here, that's dominating all of them, but we really have no idea we're going to get this one later. So the best thing to do is take separation into consideration when it's got a lot of power. Okay, so I wouldn't really be that concerned with this one because it doesn't have a lot of power compared to the one back here, or actually to the one over here. The separation is grander here than it is on this one, and this one is larger than all of them. So out of these three, this is the one most likely to succeed. Okay? So if we're interested in a trade and we are approaching the area where we're, let me get a vertical line here. I don't know the hotkey to graph 7. When we're approaching a picture of interest, okay, right here is not a lot of separation, not really interested, not a lot of separation, not a lot. Now here all of a sudden we see huge amounts of separation, which means there's a lot of power in the opposite direction. If I was to enter that trade, what would I be looking at? I'd be looking at my 144. As soon as that 144 curled down, something like that, I would be entering the trade. So what I'm saying is this. The 233 gave me the power, gave me the pressure, and the 144 initiated the trade. He told me when to take the trade. I didn't take the trade back here because there wasn't enough separation. Let me put this guy on. I'll stay on top. Okay. I didn't take the trade here because there wasn't enough separation. Didn't take it here because there wasn't enough separation. So in relation to these BBs pointing down on the 144, yeah, they pointed down, but it wasn't an area that was acceptable on the larger time frame. It wasn't until right here that I was interested. Now I saw a BB that was curling down. So entering the trade right here would have been the entry signal. Okay, not even looking at the price bars, just looking at the power and the pressures here. So if we're looking at this BB here on the 144 transposed over to this vertical line right here, we probably would have gotten into the trade right about here, let's say. Okay, where's the stop loss? Stop loss is one tick above the pivot that was created by the push down left behind a pivot. That's where we're hiding. That's our stop loss. So in this particular example, our stop loss would have been 4 ticks. Okay? Saw separation on the 233 was very large. Didn't see much on the 440. So what this is telling us, there's not a lot of power down compared to if the 440 would have given us the same picture. Okay, so what we're anticipating is that the move down doesn't have that much power. So it's going to be lesser than if we would have seen the same picture on the 440 or the 610. So let's manage the trade. Let's manage the trade. What do we want to see? Well, we want to see that this power has enough oomph to push the BBs from one side of the Bollinger Band to the other. We call this crossing the river. So once it crosses the river here, it locks on the rail, gets on the other side, gets very close to the white band. That's a sign of power right here. If we get 1 BB across, there's a very high probability of 2 more for a total of 3. Okay, so once we have 3, we're passing the baton over to the 440. We're expecting him to follow suit. If you get 1 across, high probability of 2 more for a total of 3. Getting across the river is imperative because that's where the hijacking takes place. That's where the counter pressures take hold and hijack the pressure down, in this case, with a turbulent factor of power up, power down, power up, power down. It's not until the BBs get out of the river that they're out of that danger. So right here we got 2 BBs on the rail, going for the 3rd one as soon as it prints. Then we're asking the 610, do the same thing. Get across that river. Okay, so the whole time we're just basically saying, okay, what's your target? And we're implementing areas of importance, support, resistance. So if I'm looking at this particular area here, okay, I'm noticing that, hey, there's a double bottom area here. Support, resistance, you know, happens at double tops, double bottoms. So if I was just looking for a quick trade, I would be interested in this area in terms of an exit. Could it break through there? Yeah, absolutely, but it's free sailing down to that pivot and then, or down to that area, I should say, and then we might expect a pivot. So as we're coming down here at the double bottom area, what are we anticipating on the BBs? Possible separation, right? If I see separation, whoa, separation's right here, right? This would be a great reason to get out of the trade. Okay, so right here you're seeing at the bottom of the area here, we're hitting the bottom, general vicinity. Not really separated here yet on the 233, but right here we're seeing separation and we're seeing slowdown. Okay, let's talk about slowdown. We can see that the BBs are going with a certain speed, certain velocity by the distance between the BBs. Okay, so if I was to say from there to there is the equivalent of 5 miles an hour. We're still doing 5 miles an hour. Still doing 5. 5. All of a sudden, we're slowing down here, and we're slowing down with separation. If I was looking for a long, this would be one of the pictures I'd be looking for. A slowdown with separation. So taking everything into consideration, this is a sign of danger. This is an area of danger. Double bottom, signs of weakness, signs of slowing down, a bird in the hand. Get out with what you got. So it could easily have gotten out with 1.4. See the weakness here. So as you're seeing this, you're seeing signs of slowdown with separation. Okay, so maybe you let it come back up a little bit. Let's be realistic. Maybe you got it all the way up there. Okay, came all the way back up there. Got out right there. So 1.2. All I'm trying to reference here is a separation power with an area and just putting it all together. Okay, this is one of our favorite powers, pressures, power of separation, and just reading the BBs and listening to what they're telling us. Didn't even need to look at the price bars except for, hey, I've got an area here of support, double bottom, and that's the only reference I really made to any price movement. Everything was based on the BB movement. I hope that helps a little bit. That explains the MACDBBs to the guys gals that don't really have any familiarity with what we're doing here or the indicator itself, but just thought I'd throw that out there for you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.